Hello, and welcome to my review of the Anycubic Ultrabase. You see, I recently reviewed the i3 Mega as a printer, and one of the key features of it is what's called the Ultrabase. I'd like to take a few minutes to do a review of that itself, as it can be sold as a standalone part. What it is a borosilicate glass bed, as on many 3D printers, but with a textured coating on top. The idea being that this is designed to keep prints on when it's hot, when the bed is heated up, but allow them to easily pop off when the bed has cooled down. I've used the one on my 3D printer for around 8 to 9 months, so I tested it with a fairly large variety of prints, as well as prints in various sizes and shapes. So on to the review. First up, the good. The obvious good point is, in my case at least, it works. It doesn't seem to let prints break off it when it's hot, and I've never needed to use glue or hairspray to supplement it. If a print has hairballed or has failed, it's usually because it's failed further up the print than the first layer. And I don't think I've seen any of my fails where I could say it was because of the base not doing its job. Perhaps some of this is that I'm very careful, perhaps overcautious when printing brims on my prints, but still, it works. I've never needed glue or hairspray to supplement it. It's fine. It also seems to work regardless of what filaments I've been using with it. I've used PLA, which did fine. It worked for some old ABS I had. And I tried out PETG at one point, and it worked fine with that as well. It seems not to matter the type of plastic so much. As for price, it's reasonable, considering that it is also a glass bed. I've seen it sit comfortably under £30 for the 220mm square version, and it seems to be fairly regularly on sales, a lot less. If you want to wait and are thinking of this as, oh, it might be nice, it might come on sale. I recently saw it up for $10.99, so if you time it right, it can be a cheap improvement. It also has a variety of sizes, so the 220mm square version, but also versions based around larger printers, although you'll have to check if your size is what they do. Now for the bad though. Firstly, it's worth mentioning the power cut problem. One of the features of the Mega is that you can restart prints after a power outage, which is a feature on a few other printers as well, and may save you a fairly intensive print if you have a time of fairly regular power cuts. The trouble is that if the power is off too long, the Ultrabase cools down, and because it cools down, the print pops off. It's a slight annoyance. Also, as I alluded to in my review of the printer, after 9 months in, it has started to go. It's a textured surface on top of the glass bed, and obviously with repeated wear and tear, that will come off over time. It may perhaps last longer than a sort of very cheap tack-on base that goes on top of the print bed, but it still eventually will come off, it will start breaking apart. I started to struggle to get a few prints to pop off, and of course this becomes a vicious circle. The act of trying to get them off scratches the Ultrabase more, which makes it more likely to be not easy to remove prints, so you put more effort in, so more damage. At the moment it's still hanging in there, but it went quite quick from looking fine to looking very much worse for wear. So that, I think, is the main start. The advantage of it working well, but also a few concerns that I had. What I want to do now is look at a few of the alternatives. Before I got this printer, I had a very old Devo Tarantula, which, if you've seen them, you'll know has probably the most basic print bed you can get hold of. So, which means that in my time learning how to 3D print, I used quite a lot of other methods of adhesion to compare this to. Now, for simple methods, I think this is better than tape or glue. The reason is that while tape and glue are cheaper and do stick well, they don't have the easy removability, which is a bit of a pain and can of course lead to damaging prints. The same point with hairspray, of course. This is great for sticking it on, but the ability for prints to pop off quickly and easily is a nice extra. They also need the organisation. You need to remember to keep applying and cleaning them off every so often. Whereas having a base, either something like this or something that tacks onto the top of a print bed, is a bit more set and forget. I suppose then it depends on your question of money versus time. Because it came with a printer, it's no problem for me. I'm happy to just leave it and set and forget. I like that. But of course, as I mentioned with the price, it can cost quite a bit. And if you're unlucky to be in a place where it's not likely to be on sale, or because it's something you're going to have to get online, probably, it's not easy for you to get, or you're in somewhere where delivery is poor, something like hairspray, which you can guarantee getting, may be a lot better. I can understand someone saying, well, it's not worth the money when these cheap solutions do work. They work fine. It's just this is a convenience thing. There are other brands now that supply either similar technology or, as I said, stick-on sheets. And I can't compare them, obviously. I think it would be best just to have a look for reviews of those on their own. From what I've heard, it lasts longer than stick-down adhesion layers, but that comes with the added price. So, in conclusion, it's decent. It does the job, and for a price that, if you can afford a free 3D printer, is reasonable. The big thing for me is the ease of use and the lack of hassle from applying your sticky surface every few prints and from trying to scrape your prints off all the time. But I have mentioned that after sort of 8 or 9 months it is starting to go. This is especially sort of concerning if you're worrying about quality control in large numbers of print beds. If you get a bad one, you may be thinking, well, am I going to spend quite a bit of money on something that dies quite quickly? It's also a lot of printers now come with something similar. Some form of print bed slightly more advanced than a sheet of glass. So my final thought would be that if you bought a cheap printer a while ago with a basic bed, this might be for you. It'll be a good upgrade. But of course, it's only worth it if it upgrades what you already have. So there you go. I hope what I said may have gave you some insight on whether this would be useful for you. Goodbye.